Live music, brother. Music, please.
What if the career you've been looking for starts with the right skills? Learn the foundation of modern accounting through U.S. bookkeeping. Build confidence in communication and stand out in the global workplace. Gain practical U.S. taxation skills used in the global industry. Welcome to the Borderless Accountants Intensive Training Program. What if the career you've been looking for starts with the right skills? Learn the foundation of modern accounting through U.S. bookkeeping. Build confidence in communication and stand out in the global workplace. Gain practical U.S. taxation skills used in the global industry. Welcome to the Borderless Accountants Intensive Training Program. What if the career you've been looking for starts with the right skills? Learn the foundation of modern accounting through U.S. What if the career you've been looking for starts with the right skills? Learn the foundation of modern accounting through U.S. bookkeeping. Build confidence in communication and stand out in the global workplace. Gain practical U.S. taxation skills used in the global industry. Welcome to the Borderless Accountants Intensive Training Program. What if the career you've been looking for starts with the right skills? Learn the foundation of modern accounting through U.S. bookkeeping. Build confidence in communication and stand out in the global workplace. Gain practical U.S. taxation skills used in the global industry. Welcome to the Borderless Accountants Intensive Training Program. What if the career you've been looking for starts with the right skills? Learn the foundation of modern accounting through U.S.
Hello guys. Hello guys. Mic testing. Mic testing. Guys. Mic testing. 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 Is it possible that is it possible that
northern parts of the Philippines or is experiencing bad weather. Northern parts of the Philippines.
So make sure that you opt to sign up to Wayground for the first time so that it doesn't ask you to sign up every time you participate in the quiz. Okay. And be ready with your phones as well because you can take the quiz using your phone. I will be flashing or I'll be sending the QR code on the screen so that you guys can um, use your phone to take or to join the quiz. Let me just see here. Mindful with your mic, guys. All right, so I guess you can start and let me share my screen right now so that you can see the code. All right, let's give 1 more minute for the rest to join. So far, we have 72. We'll start in 7:10. All right, so 7-Eleven. I'm sorry, guys. I got distracted. All right, so let's start. 115 of you. Good luck. All right, guys. Most of you are already done, or some of you are already done. Let's give you more or 3 more minutes, okay? Because we need to go through the questions and the answers afterwards or after the quiz. All right, nice. I'm seeing familiar names on the board. Some are new. Nice. Okay, 2 more minutes, guys. Wow, 142 participants. This is a record, 143. Okay, 2 more minutes. For those who just started, that's okay. Um, you can still take the official quiz in the Google Classroom, okay? We need to finish because we need to review the questions and then proceed with our session for today. Okay, so we need to make the most out of the time. 1 more minute. All right, a few more seconds and then we will end the quiz. All right, so time is up. Let us end. 71% accuracy. That is good. All right, give it up for the first placer. We have the Honorable Glenn Bakyan by Jadi. What's Jadi? Oh, I missed to screenshot that. And then third place, Gianni Pascual. So both Glenn and Gianni are very familiar names. Jadi, I think you just joined today, if I'm not mistaken. Lawrence also in the fourth, Sheila fifth place, Swapnil taking the sixth place. Nice. And again, a lot of unfamiliar names, but also a lot of familiar names because for most of you, we have been together for 2 months already, right? So you're familiar with how this works. For those who have done this for the first time, let me hear your feedback on the chat. How did it go for you? What was your impression? Did it make you feel nervous taking the quiz with the timer? Yeah, some others were not able to join. I'm so sorry, but there could be technical issue, but there's a lot of chances that we can participate because we're gonna be doing this almost every day. All right. Charm says this is fun. Sadly, I wasn't able to finish my exam. That's okay. Um, shocked, pressured, nerve-wracking because of the time. Well, yeah, we have to have a timer. Um, Otherwise, we won't be able to finish, right? All right. So I'm glad that you're you like the experience. And again, you'll eventually get the hang of it. All right. So if the first time it asks you to register to Wayground, just register because we're going to be doing it every day. And all your quizzes would also be this, but it will be recorded and it will be made available in the Google Classroom. You all will be notified once the quiz is made available in Google Classroom so you can take it at your own time. Okay. There still is a timer on the quiz. It's almost the same way that we're conducting it in the live, the one that you just took. We're gonna be doing exactly like that in the class. You won't also be able to cheat because you cannot right click. So still give it your 100% best when you're taking the quiz. Make sure that you have a stable internet and that you're ready. Okay. But what I would also suggest is you take it timely. Okay, don't take too long to complete the quizzes. Otherwise, Mario is going to be knocking on your doors. She will be sending you email reminders to complete those quizzes. Okay. So let us do a quick review of the questions and see how you guys fared. Okay. Why is this not showing the correct answer? All right. I'm lost. Where should I go to? All right, let me exit. Sixty-four, 65% accuracy. That's not bad. All right, there you go. You guys can still see my screen, right? So let's go through the 15 questions very quickly. Number one, in the professional intake sequence, what is the step one? The very first thing you do before opening any software. The answer to that is always the prior year return. Okay, so you don't jump right away into the tax software without having looked into the prior tax return. This was 75% accuracy. Very good. Number two, so the quiz actually tests your memory, okay, or your retention. And that will help me determine if you've been paying attention during the session. And some of these along the way will test your knowledge as well. Number two, 79% accuracy. Very good. Marcus 2024 Schedule D shows a net capital loss of 5,300. So only 3,000 could be used. The remaining 2,300 will be carried forward to 2025. Good. Number three, there is a yearly cap on how much capital loss can be offset against the taxpayer's other income. What is the cap? That is 3,000. Good job. Number four, a good tax organizer makes the client write none rather than leave a field blank. Why is that? Because none is evidence. A blank is a question never asked. So some tax organizers, especially if it's done through a CRM like TaxDome, some questions you can actually indicate as required. Okay, so the taxpayer would not be able to submit the tax organizer unless those required fields are filled out or answered. Okay. Number five, 36% accuracy. What happened here? Oh, because I realized we didn't talk F-bar yesterday. So this is a given. Why does a good organizer ask for the highest balance in a foreign account rather than the year-end balance? Okay, so I decided to skip F-bar yesterday because it's not very common. This usually applies to taxpayers with foreign accounts. Okay, so just for your information, F-bar has a filing threshold of $10,000 at any given point in the calendar year. Okay, so what that means is that if the taxpayer is living abroad or has a bank account or a financial account outside of the US, and that account whether single account or two accounts or multiple accounts, for as long as the accumulated balance on those accounts breach the threshold of $10,000. Again, at any given point during the year, the taxpayer has to file an FBAR. Okay, so it's a filing requirement that the taxpayer has to file, again, not at the year end. Okay, it doesn't matter if the year end balance was below 10,000, for as long as the balance has breached that 10,000 threshold, an FBAR requirement is required. And a lot of people are not aware of this, but the IRS actually imposed a $10,000 penalty for non-filing of FBAR. So it's because it's considered a financial crime. Okay, so most tax organizers, especially those firms that are engaged with clients who have multinational accounts, they ask the FBAR question. And later on, I will show you that in the Schedule B of the tax return, this questionnaire is actually being asked in the tax return itself. Something to do with financial account. And again, that's something that we will cover as we go along. And I'm sorry that I did not discuss about this yesterday, but even though there were 52 people who managed to get the correct answer. So the answer there is because FBAR reporting is tested on the peak balance. Okay, so it's not on the year end, it's at any given point during the year. So I think those 52 people have an experience filing FBAR, I suppose, or some of you were just good guessers. Okay. Next question, which statement correctly distinguishes an SSN or an SSN from an ITIN? So the answer there is, or the SSA is the one that issues the SSN, or SSA stands for Social Security Administration, whereas the ITIN is issued by the IRS. Okay, good job to the 101 people who answered that correctly. And I mentioned that a couple of times yesterday. Next is Sophia is not eligible for an SSN and holds an ITIN. Marcus asked whether what makes a practical difference to the return. Which statement is correct? Right? So we have this question yesterday.
No
Yep.
screen sharing po.
Oh, no screen sharing. Sorry. Since earlier or only now?
Recently lang.
Recently lang. Okay, thank you. Was it Alma? Your voice sounds
Yes
familiar.
po.
Hello, Alma. I missed you. I'm glad you could join us
Miss
today.
you too.
All right.
It's like 2 questions back, coach.
Okay. So 2 questions back. Was it question number 6, right? So which statement correctly distinguishes the SSN versus the ITIN? Again, SSN is issued by the Social Security Administration, and this is something that we cannot have if we are not a U.S. citizen or a green card holder. Again, don't dream of us SNN unless you go to the U.S. and you apply for a green card or you marry someone in the U.S. Okay. All we can get would be an ITIN, right? Because the ITIN is issued by the IRS, right? And number 7, Sophia is not eligible for an SSN and holds an ITIN. Marcus asked whether what makes a practical difference to the return. What is the correct statement? So more credits and deductions now require an SSN specifically. So SSN and ITIN, they're not the same, guys. Okay, they have similarities, but they're not the same. Okay, so especially when it comes to credits and deductions. Because if you have an SSN, you're considered as you're not considered an alien. If you have an ITIN, you are considered an alien, and then an alien further classified as resident or non-resident alien. Okay, that's why you don't have those benefits that SSN holders have. And 8th question, Marcus's prior year Form 1040 shows a 527 overpayment applied forward. What does that mean? Right? So that 527 is credited to the 2025 estimated tax, and is not given out as a refund. Okay, he has the option again to receive that 527 as a refund, but Marcus, as a taxpayer, opted not to receive it, rather apply that 527 to the next year's tax obligation. Okay, that's purely optional. Okay. Number 9, which of these is not something a practice management platform? A practice management platform, also known, guys, as a CRM. Okay, in the industry, it is known as a CRM. So, a more popular CRM is TaxDome. So, what it does not do, right? It does not calculate the tax liability on the return because it's not a tax software. Okay, it's not like ProSeries, UltraTax, Lacert, ProConnect. Those are the only ones that can calculate a tax liability. Okay, not TaxDome. So TaxDome, or a CRM, is a secure portal. You can send organizer there. The taxpayer can also fill out the organizer, and there's a pipeline that you can work through the return. Okay. Number 10, good job, 84% accuracy. The question is, what is the rule on how a client sends you their tax documents? Good job. You guys will never send that by email. Instead, use the secured portal. Okay. Because what happens, some states are really strict on the PII, or the uh privately what it was PII again? Private personal information, which includes a social. So some state can actually revoke a CPA license for breaching the security and privacy of the client information. That's why they're very particular about using a secured portal. For us, small practitioners, that may not necessarily apply to us because doing a portal is very expensive, and usually when we have our direct client, we don't have a contract on there is a specific, I forgot about the form, but there's a legal form that usually tax firm will have their client sign. It's also similar to non-disclosure. So wherein the firm would be liable if they disclose the client's information in an unsecured environment. Okay, so that is why big firms, they have to use a secured portal because their practice could be at stake. Okay, but again, if you ask if that would apply to us, not necessarily, because we're a small firm. Sorry, we are a small practitioner. Plus, we don't necessarily have that agreement with our taxpayer client, unless we go big, right? Unless we would be like Lawrence, who will later on have his own firm. So Lawrence, later on, he will have to purchase a license with TaxDome, and maybe Corzan, maybe Francesca, and whoever else is in the US, right? These folks, they have their SSN, right? So they are ahead of us because they can get an EFIN, and they have more benefits in terms of tax and accounting practice. So you guys should befriend these people because they may be able to help you in the future. Okay, that's the power of networking. Okay, so yeah, I mean that's also the beauty of a community, right? We can help each other open up opportunities. All right, number 11. Good job for these guys. 80% accuracy. The question is, Elena earned 700 from a weekend job and received 3,200 of interest. How is the 3,200 classified? All right, so this was discussed yesterday. It's considered to be a passive income, similar to dividends and gains and interest. The 700, it's considered to be active income. This will come in the form of either a W-2 if she's considered as an employee, or a 1099 NEC if she's considered to be a contractor. Okay. And those forms we will also tackle as we go along. Okay. And number 12, a W-2 reports 100,000, but the return is filed showing 90,000. The IRS adjusts it and charges a penalty. What is that penalty called? Okay, I mentioned this yesterday. That is called an accuracy related penalty, and it could be huge. Okay, and it's not abatable, right? You cannot abate an accuracy related penalty. Why? Because again, that W-2 that the taxpayer received, that is also sent to the IRS by the employer. Okay, so when you file the return, the IRS will just simply match the numbers. If there is a mismatch, then the IRS will make adjustment on the tax return that was filed, and the taxpayer will just get a notice, right? And the notice would clearly provide an explanation as to what make the difference, okay, and what are the related penalty, and there could probably be even interest. Okay, so we have to be careful when filling out a tax form, and that is why as tax prepares, one of our skill or one of our trait is attention to detail. Okay, because that could mean penalty or inaccuracy could mean penalty and interest to our taxpayer clients. Number 13, an IRS, or in the IRS parlance, a single member LLC is also known as a disregarded entity. You will hear this a lot, okay? Disregarded entity, you will hear this a lot. What does that mean for the return, okay? So that is an indication for you guys that business will be reported on a Schedule C. And a Schedule C is part of a 1040 return, okay? And I have to I have to tell you now that most taxpayers, if they are new, and you will encounter this a lot, because if they are new LLC owners, usually they go to Upwork, or maybe not Online Jobs PH, usually Upwork or Fiverr to look for accountants, right? Most taxpayers, they would think that just because they have an LLC means they have a separate filing requirement, right? That's not always the case. So every time I go through a prospect client in a conversation, I always ask, are you the only owner of the LLC, right? Because when the owner registers an LLC in the state, because LLC is registered at the state level, okay? So once the LLC is approved at the state, then the owner will then apply for an EIN before the IRS, okay? Now, if there's only one owner in that LLC, the IRS will automatically consider that as a disregarded entity, okay? So unless there are two owners, right? If there are two owners, the IRS will also default that to a partnership business, okay? A partnership form of business. So those are the default. That's why it is important that when the business owner says, I have an LLC, I'm looking for someone to prepare my taxes this year because I only opened the LLC this year, you will have to always ask the client, are you the only registered owner in the LLC? And when the client says yes, now, do you have the EIN letter with you? Because the IRS will provide the taxpayer the EIN letter. They will always get that because they would not get to know what their EIN unless they receive that letter, right? On that letter, the IRS will specify if the tax form related to the EIN is a 1065 or an 1120S. If there is no specification, then that is a disregarded entity. Okay. And then an even more powerful question to ask is, did you as a client fill out a form 2553 to do an S corp election? Okay, Because if you are, again, the only owner of the LLC, the default classification of the IRS is you are a disregarded entity. But you can file a 2553, which is otherwise known as S Corp election, for you to be considered as a separate entity. Okay, no longer a disregarded entity, but a separate entity. That is something that the taxpayer has to file. Okay, it does not happen magically. It has to be filed. And if the taxpayer says, no, I don't remember filling out that form, then you are a disregarded entity. What we'll be preparing for you this year is a Schedule C, which will be part of your 1040 return. Okay, so that's part of how you will educate your client. Make sense? Because maybe some of you will be practicing getting clients straight from Upwork, and that's the best way that you can practice tax. And another way, of course, is joining a firm. Okay. Last two questions, guys. For the additional standard deduction, the material defines blindness as vision no better than letter C, 20/200 in the better eye with corrective lenses. So this was mentioned in the slide yesterday, although this is not really common, okay? In my entire practice, I have not had any client who was blind, right? Not that I could recall. All right, last question. Form W-2 to the employee and forms W-2 and W-3 to the SSA are due by which date, right? So 53 got this correct. It's due by January 31, okay? So that's why a lot of bookkeepers are busy during January, not only to close the books, but also to file 1099s and W-2. Okay, so payroll people, they are the ones in charge with issuing W-2 statements. Okay, and it must be that those documents have to be issued by the deadline, because again, the IRS is very quick to is very quick to, what is the term? To penalize the taxpayer for any late filing. Okay. So overall, 93% finished, 146 took the quiz. Overall, 65% accuracy. Highest, we had people who got 100% score. Wow. I'm curious, who are those people who got 100%? All right. So these are the people who got the perfect score, guys. Gianni, Glenn, Estrada, Jaina, MJ, and Swapnil. Wow. Good job, guys. And a lot of you got 93, so you only had one mistake. All right. Very promising. Good job. Congratulations. Can you guys give yourself a round of applause? You did very well on your first day. All right, so time check 7:43. Yesterday we were not able to complete our slides. We were short of time, but we have remaining 10 slides, which we're going to be covering today. And I hope that you guys have already accessed the tax organizer and the prior year return in your Google Classroom account, and that you also set up your ProConnect account. All right, so just a quick room check. Who amongst you guys have not set up the ProConnect account yet? And if you ever need help, that's what our Telegram group chat is for. Okay, so that you can get quick support either from the team or from one of your classmates. Please ask for assistance in the Telegram channel. If you're not a Telegram user and you don't intend to use it at all, you can also reach out to support@borderlessaccountant.com for any support in setting up your ProConnect account. Okay. All right, you guys can see my screen now. So we are now on session 3, which today we will be applying what we know so far. Okay, are you guys excited? Bear with me 1 second. All right, so quick recap of last night, because everything we typed tonight comes from it. We covered the 6-step intake sequence, what a professional gathers before opening any software, the prior year return, and the IRS correspondence, otherwise known as notices, the tax organizer and the practice management platform, also otherwise known as CRM, is where the tax organizer is sent from. Personal information such as the social security numbers, ITINs, as well as residency. Key forms, due dates, and the information return checklist. Those are also covered yesterday. And the worldwide income with the filing threshold trap. Tonight, we will take all of that and do something with those information. Now we will be opening a live client file. This is everything that you see on that file will be mock information, okay? Those are not real. So we will be entering Marcus, Sophia, and the 3 dependents. We will also answer the Schedule B foreign questions properly on the tax return. We will load the prior year data and the $2,300 carryover. And then we will leave the filing status deliberately blank for today, okay? For today, because we will be covering that in the succeeding session. Now read the box with me because it sets the tone. Tonight is a working session, not a lecture. 1 block, hands on the keyboard. And if you have a second screen, that would be good for you so that you can see what we're doing or what I'm doing on my screen, and you can do the same thing on your second screen. So have both of the handouts right in front of you. So that would be the completed 2025 organizer and Marcus's 2024 Form 1040. Every single thing we type comes from one of those 2 documents. Okay, so make sure that you have those handy. All right, so tonight's run sheet, this will be short, 5 minutes on setup. Everyone sign up in both handouts open. Can you guys open your ProConnect account? And please do so now. And then open the Alvarez file, okay, which is again the tax organizer. And so this is what we're going to be doing. So 5 steps, and I will do each one on the screen and then give you time to do it on your own account. So step 1, we will create a client file and enter Marcus on the client information general screen. Now step 2, we will add Sophia as the spouse with her ITIN and the alien indicator, although that is actually not necessary. That is not in ProConnect. So we'll enter her ITIN instead of an SSN. Now step 3, let's also enter 3 dependents. So their names, their dates of birth, as well as their identification number. And then step 4, we will be answering the Schedule B foreign questions and record the facts. And then finally, step 5, we will load the prior year data, or which is in this case the carryover and the outstanding document list. Okay, so look at the 4th column on every row.
Sorry, excuse me, Coach.
No
Would you
problem.
be sharing the ProConnect interface?
Yes. So I will be doing that in all the step 5. I will be doing that and on my own ProConnect account, and I'll show that on the screen. Okay.
Thank you, coach.
All right, no problem. So let me stop sharing my screen while I pull up my own ProConnect account. And you guys do the same thing on your own. So again, there is a reason why we had you set up your ProConnect account at the beginning. So let me see. Am I still sharing my screen? No. So let me share. So let me use support email. Can you share, can you raise your hand, guys, if you're able to open up your ProConnect account already? So I'm sharing my screen already. A lot of you were fast and good job. So what we're going to be working on is a 20 version of ProConnect. Because obviously 2026 is not yet available. Wait, why am I in QBO? Let me see. I know there is an interface here that if this happens to you, don't worry. Because QuickBooks Online and ProConnect, they are owned by the same company, ProConnect, or sorry, Intuit. Okay. Can you guys, and any one of you can guide me where to go? I know there is a way that you can navigate.
Taxes, go to taxes.
Go to taxes. Where is taxes?
Accountant tools.
Sorry.
Taxes things.
You say taxes here?
Yeah, yeah, there.
All right. No, it's not. These are sales
Accountant
tax.
tools. Maybe it's accountant tools. The accountant tools, Chris.
Where do we go? Here?
Beside the go to QuickBooks, you can click the accountant tools.
Okay, hold on. This is good.
That
Okay,
one.
here. Okay.
Then click the
Right. There you
connect
go,
tax.
guys. So if that happens to you, all you have to do is go to accountant tools. Thank you, whoever who assisted me. Thank you very much. So that's how you can access ProConnect, or you can simply just go. If you have, if you're fond of using Bookmark, you can already bookmark ProConnect in your browser, so you can easily access that. I have not done that, so maybe do it now. So I will be doing that so that I won't have to encounter the same issue, and that can save us time. All right, so as you can see, I'm on my 2024 menu. So what I'll have to do is make sure that I'm in 2025. Okay, so make sure that you're in 2025. I think someone already worked on Marcus Alvarez. Let's see if I can delete this. All right, we'll delete this return so that we can start from scratch. Okay, sorry, bye-bye. Okay, all right, so we start with an empty return. I believe there is a lot of ways that you can create a return. So you can click here, create your new return, or you can also click this one here, create tax return. All right, whatever floats your boat. All right, so when you click that on the client, check if you already have that client listed. Okay, so in this case, that client must have already been here because see, Marcus Alvarez is already here because someone in the team has already used this account to create his profile. If he's not there yet, click on add new. So what you do, this is where you will use the tax organizer. Okay, so look for the first name of Marcus, his last name, his date of birth, his tax ID, which is his social. All right. If in the case of the spouse, you have the option here to say applied for. But this is Marcus, okay, because he's the primary taxpayer. You can provide his email. If you don't find the email in the tax organizer, look it up in the prior year return, okay? Sometimes the email can be found in the prior year return. Look that up there. If you can find it in the tax organizer, and the contact information can also be there. These fields are also not required, okay, because you can always fill this in later. So what is required at this point is just the first name and the last name, okay? So if you guys can show you, put your hands down so I don't get confused if you have a question or not, because of the question I asked earlier. But if you do have a question and you need immediate help, this is where you can raise your hand, okay? Or you type your question in the chat box. A lot of the support team members are gonna respond to you, okay? So I hope you've done that. You've added your new client. And once it's already there, just select that client in the drop down. So that's how it would look like, okay? So the date of birth, again, this should be in the tax organizer. The email, the mobile should also be there, okay? If you're confused how that tax organizer look like, let me show that in the screen. Just give me 1 second. Because you may say, oh, I don't see that in the tax organizer. Chris is lying. Right, I lie sometimes, but not this time, okay? So let me go to our resources. So I can show you guys where to look for those information, okay? Where is, all right, so this is the organizer, right? I hope you're seeing the same thing. This is where you can find the client information. So these are, the first one is the information of Marcus. So his name, his social, his occupation, his date of birth. And then Sophia's information is also there, her date of birth, her ITIN, and then their address, and then their phone number. And then they're not 65 years old and above. They're also not legally blind. They were not issued an IP pin from the IRS. So we need that information for now, okay? And you say you don't see, you may say you don't see an email. So in that case, the other option that you have, that's why this is the first step in the 6 intake steps, right? The prior year return. So some information are also in the prior year return. So let's look it up. So this is the first page of the 1040. Let's go down. See, the email address is in this portion here. All right, so where the client will sign. the taxpayer's occupation as well as the spouse. And this is Marcus's email address. Notice that there's no spouse information in 2024, again, because in 2024, Marcus filed as single. Okay? But this time, he already has a spouse. And how do you know? Because that's stated in his tax organizer, right? So the tax organizer says, or he provided information for the spouse. Makes sense so far? Are you guys all good? Were you able to enter those information already? So we can continue.
Yes, coach. But coach, may I ask,
Sure.
my on my end, it says invalid format for the SSN.
Right. So the SSN, if you had the first 6 digits as 666, make sure that you change that to 606. Are you using 606 or 666?
Yeah, it's 666. Yes, I changed it to 606 now. Thank you,
All
coach.
right. Perfect. All right. Because obviously 666 SSN is not a valid SSN. That's why ProConnect, because again, ProConnect is a live tax software, guys. So it detects whether the SSN is valid or not. Okay, and earlier we did use 666, but thanks to Janelle, she pointed that out in advance. All right, so for the return, for today or for the first part of our course, we're going to be working with 1040. Okay. Later on, we'll be working with 1120, 1065, and 1120s. We will not do 1041. We will also not do 990. This is for charitable organizations. And we're also not going to do 709. These are not common returns. So we're only going to do 4. Okay. But for today, we're going to do 1040. And again, this is for 2025. Okay. And then I'll just hit next. I hope that you are able to follow along. You have a question, Carmelita? Who is writing the board? Can we do clean the board, Lou or Carm? Carmelita, you have a question? Can you guys unmute her?
Hello,
Right, go ahead.
coach. I cannot create new client. Messages no manage client access.
I think because you have not, that's not an account that is personal to you. Did you enter an account that is maintained by another firm or organization?
Yes. So I
Did
have to
you-
create another for my own.
Correct. It has to be
Okay.
your own account. It must not be related to a firm account. Otherwise, you will encounter that error.
Okay. Thank you, coach.
All right, no problem. And just call me Chris, Carm, okay? We're on a first name basis here, BA. All right. All right. Can anyone clean this whiteboard? I'm not sure I can do that, but if okay, am I not the host now? I was muted. I'm sorry about that. But can anyone in the team delete this marking on the board? It's rather unpleasant. So can you guys work on this? Is a whiteboard. Someone has activated the whiteboard and has inadvertently made some marking. Okay, so if you guys are on this screen right now, this is just the profile, okay? So for federal, um, you may leave it unticked for now or ticked, whatever you like, because this is not gonna matter anyway, because we're not gonna be e-filing the return. These will need to be ticked if we will e-file the return. Okay, so we would not be able to proceed with e-filing unless these are checked. And the diagnostics would later on point out to these. Okay, so the beauty of the tax software or any tax software is that anything that is incorrect or inconsistent, it will be flagged, okay, so that you have the opportunity to correct any potential mistake or is inconsistency. All right, so once you're here, you can go to input return. Okay, so on the tabs at the top, so you have profile, then for now go to input return. Okay, so you should be seeing this, all these menu tabs. And this is also, guys, if you're wondering how Lacert looks like, this is also how Lacert is designed. Okay, so as you can see, some of these are not in bold, right? That means these are forms with no entries. Okay, but any tab that is in bold, that means there's something that has been entered already. So as you can see, client information is already in bold, right? Because some information related to this client we have already entered, okay? And no other else. So here we specify that the taxpayer is in California, is a taxpayer of California state. This is already done for you by the tax software when you entered the address of the taxpayer. Okay, it already detects that the taxpayer is a California resident. There are also cases where the taxpayer is required to file multi-state return. For example, beginning of the year, they were in California, and then the following or the second half of the year, maybe they moved to another state. So let's say from California, they moved to New York, for example. Then you can flag this to be a multi-state return. And then on profile, you will need to, I think there is a way for you to add later. We will talk about that later on how you can add another state. But for now, let's stick with the information for Marcus, right? So single default filing status. But for today, we'll just put that as married filing jointly, okay? And we'll cover all these five filing statuses in the coming days, okay? So what is considered to be single, when does or when do couples file as joint, or when do they file as separate, who is considered a head of household, what are the rules, and what are or what is qualifying surviving spouse. So there is a dedicated lesson for all those five statuses. Okay. You can also tick this when you're preparing a return and you're considering for the taxpayer is considering whether they're gonna file MFJ or MFS. Okay, so this is just for I would say internal decision making, because this will help derive a report later on comparing the two options. And there is a live with spouse. So when married filing jointly, that's understood to be living with spouse. You may leave this as blank, or you can also put that as I mean, you can also put a tick mark in there. All right, so this is the information of the taxpayer, which we already entered in the beginning, but we did not enter the occupation. Okay, so let's now enter that occupation. What it is, Marcus is an IT contractor. So copy that. Either you copy that or you type it in, okay? And then I would say make capital C or make C capital. And the date of birth. And then this is a portion where if the taxpayer is a dependent of someone, you will have to answer this, okay? But in this case, Marcus is not being claimed as a dependent of anybody, so we'll leave that as blank, okay? But in the case of, for example, later on, we will be working with the return of, is it Sophia, the daughter? What's the daughter's name? Okay, give me 1 second, guys. I was told that only me can clean the board. So do I stop sharing? Okay, give me 1 second, guys. Why is it that only I can clean, but not only I can make a mess on the board? All right, so give me 1 second. Where is the board? Here. Give me 1 second, guys. All right, sorry guys, some technical issues. So we just had to get rid of that marking on the whiteboard. All right, so let's move on. All right, so what was the daughter's name? Guys have her name in the chat. I have very limited space on my others. Elena. So Elena, later on, we will be filing her tax return. So in her return, we will be selecting this dependency status, and we're saying Elena is claimed as a dependent. Okay. So if it's blank, that's considered to be not applicable. Okay, so this is the option where you tick mark if the taxpayer is blind. We already know in the tax organizer that neither of them is blind. If you take this, the standard deduction associated with the taxpayer will change. Okay, so if you guys have a wider screen, you can do this. And if I do this, let me know if it actually impacts how you can view my screen, right? And this is one of my favorite feature of ProConnect, because on the left is the input screen, okay? And the right is your form view. Okay, so what happens is, say for example, right now, we are just in the process of entering information for Marcus, right? So now your form view actually looks like this. So we already have filled out the first part of the return. And then, as you can see on page 2, you see here standard deduction, 31,500. This is a standard deduction for married filing jointly for 2025, right? Every year this changes because of inflation. So if I click on blind, notice what happens, okay? So right now you're seeing 31,500, but because I indicated that Marcus is blind, if I refresh this form, now it's 33,100, right? Because there's an additional standard deduction for blind taxpayer. Okay, so you do not want to make a mistake of indicating that your client is blind, even if he's not. Okay, so make sure that you leave that as unticked if it does not apply to your client, right? Now, time for us to input the information of the spouse. Okay, so what I would typically do if I only have one screen, I would split it. Okay, but when you're working as a tax preparer, it's very helpful to have a second screen. Okay, but in this case also, because I'm presenting to you guys, let me just do a split screen view, where I have to my right the document or the tax organizer, and to the left would be the tax software. And a matter of advice, when you're entering information from a tax organizer to the tax software, you'd rather do copy paste. Do not type, because that is prone to mistakes like misspelling or transposition of digits. So for as long as you can copy and paste, do it. Okay, it's not being lazy, but it's preventing any mistakes, right? Unintentional mistakes. Or are there any intentional mistake? So if you can copy and paste, just do copy and paste. Okay, my screen is freezing. I don't know, because I have so many PDF files open. But if you guys are able to input the information of the spouse already, so what you do is, again, just refer to the tax organizer. So Sophia Reyes Alvarez. In this case, Sophie Reyes is actually the middle name. Okay, so you can do that, but you can leave that out. So you can just do Sophia Alvarez, or what you do is you can do Sophia Reyes as part of the name. Okay, Sophia Reyes Alvarez. Let's see if it matters in ProConnect if you have all caps and or the formatting will actually make a difference. Because right now I have Alvarez as all caps, but the name, because I copied pasted it from the from the organizer. Let's see how it gets this. All right, it follows whatever is your input, right? So Sophia Alvarez, and then or Sophia Reyes, and then Alvarez in all caps. So for you to be consistent, you may want to put Sophia Reyes in all caps. Okay. So Sophia Reyes. Because some firms are really big on formatting. So you want to look at the form in or this way. So all names are in all caps. I know there is an option for you to uh, um, I don't know if it's available in ProConnect, but it is available in Lacert where you can input the data, not necessarily in all caps, but when it goes to the form, it will be forced to be all caps. Okay. I'm not sure if it's in ProConnect. We can explore that later on, but that's just for emphasis, guys, so that it doesn't look weird on the return. All right, and then where is the tax organizer again? So hers item is this. So again, just copy and paste. Okay, you can do applied for, but she's got, I think in this case, we can just leave it that way. And then her occupation is not employed. So you can just say unemployed here. And then her date of birth is, for US, it's month, date, year. Okay. So MMDDYY. So date of birth for the spouse is August 9. So that would be 8/09/86. Okay. So again, it should be MMDDYY. And then again, she's not claimed as a dependent. She's not blind. We already entered that earlier. We already entered the information on the telephone as well from the beginning. All right. Later on, I think we will be having a session on entering the taxpayer authentication, because some state they do not allow e-filing unless we enter state ID information, typically the driver's license. Okay. If you really don't have the information, what you can do is you can say identity not verified. You can get past the e-filing. Okay. Same for the spouse. So if we can refresh our form, at this point, you would have already entered the taxpayer's information. Okay, so the name, the address, the social, the filing status. Okay, so if we go back to our presentation, where is that presentation? Right. So we would have already completed step 1 and step 2. Okay. So are we guys in the same page? We were able to do step 1 and 2. Good job. So now we're going to be doing step 3, which is the 3 dependents. Okay. So where do you go to input the dependents? It is here, right? So to the left side, right beneath, below client for dependents. So you want to click on that and then start entering the first dependent. Okay. So how do you go? Where do you go? Where do you check the dependents? It's here. Okay. So section 4 of the organizer. So again, just if possible, copy and paste. So if I have Elena M, copy, and then just copy the last name as well. You can leave the title and the suffix blank. The date of birth, very important. This is going to be 06/04/2009. All right, and then the social, again, just copy and paste as much as possible. And then daughter, and then the months lived, 12 months. This matters, okay? As to how many months the tax or the dependent lived or stayed with the taxpayer. There's actually an important consideration for that, which we'll tackle along the way. Okay, so child living with the parents, leave everything as one. Okay, and then all others blank for now. Why can you not enter Sophia's SSN? If in that case, just maybe refresh your browser. Could be a browser issue. So once you're done with Elena, another tab for the next dependent, click on this plus sign on top. So plus sign, this will open up another blank portion or form for the next dependent. So Elena, all social would be 606, okay? If you have downloaded the material from Google Classroom early, that probably was the case. So I updated those as soon as JNL notified me that 666 is not an acceptable SSN in ProConnect, okay? So make sure that you re-download the material in Google Classroom. All right, so I click on that. It generated new tab. So we'll just do the same thing for Mateo. We'll include his middle name. It's optional. Middle name, guys, is optional. And then date of birth is 11/21/2018. Social. And then here's the son. And then he lived 12 months with the taxpayer. Leave everything as they are. And then we have one more dependent, okay? And this is the mother, Rosa. So Rosa L. Again, if you can just simply copy and paste, that's ideal. And then date of birth is 02/02/1954. Social. Then relationship to the taxpayer is a mother. 12 months live at home, 0. Why is that? Because she has her own apartment. Okay. So I guess we're good with all the dependents. Let's just refresh our form. Right, so now you'll see all the dependents already filled out in the form. And then you see here, first check box would be if the taxpayer lived with the taxpayer for more than half of 2025. It's marked yes because our answer was 12 months, and they're obviously in the US. The mother, we put 0 as the answer, so that first box is left blank, and there's no way that the tax software can identify if this taxpayer is in the US. Okay. And so the importance of that is that, no, maybe later. So these can give this taxpayer credits, okay? So there could be a dependent credit. There could even be a child tax credit. And then for the parent, it could give the taxpayer credit for other dependents. That's usually somewhere in here. The credits will be somewhere in this portion of the return. And you may say, why are you not seeing those numbers yet? Because those credits will depend on whether the taxpayer has income or not. Okay, so we have not entered any income information yet, so the system is not calculating any credits just yet. But the standard deduction, that's a default. Okay, as soon as you identify the filing status of the taxpayer, this standard deduction will auto-populate. Okay, so let's try changing this to married filing separately. Okay, so just for exercise and emphasis, you can see that this number has changed to 15,750. The deduction or the standard deduction will depend on the filing status. And that is why it's very important that you identify the correct filing status of the taxpayer, because that will have a great significance on his tax return. All right, we good so far. Let's check our presentation. So we are done 1 out of 3. What time are we now? Time check is 8:32. So good. I think we're gonna be finishing on time today. Now, fourth would be answer the Schedule B foreign questions. So in the tax organizer, there is a portion that talks about foreign accounts, assets, and income. That's on section 6. So the question was, did you hold any account outside the United States at any time? It could be bank or brokerage or other. So the answer is yes. Sophia savings account in Manila. Next is, did you have signature authority over an account you do not own? So guys, for FBAR purposes, even if the bank is not necessarily your own bank account, but you have a signature authority on that account, you have a filing requirement if that account has breached the 10,000 threshold. Okay, so if, for example, your own foreign account is $1,000 only, but you have a signature authority to an account that had a balance at one point in 2025 that reached, say, 11,000. So that would be a total of 12,000 for you that you need to report. Okay, it's not taxable, you just need to report it. Okay, so now as a taxpayer, you will have to file an FBAR. Okay, so the key word there is that the signature authority. Roughly what was in those accounts during the year. So it asks about the amount. So the answer to this was 12,400. This is way above the 10,000 threshold. So Sophia has a filing requirement for FBAR. But we're not gonna tackle F-bar extensively in this course. We will have that probably if we have an advanced tax prep course. Did you receive income from sorry, did you hold foreign assets that are not bank accounts? So foreign assets could be brokerage account, okay? Maybe something like stocks in COL or in BPI trade, right? So you have stocks in the Philippine Stock Exchange or mutual funds, for example. So those are not necessarily bank accounts, but they're financial account. Did you receive income from outside of the United States? Sophia said yes. So that's her salary from January to February. Did you receive a large gift or bequest from a foreign person? The answer was no. So if this was the case, there is a 3520 filing requirement if the answer to this was yes. Okay. Did you hold an interest in a foreign company, partnership, or trust? In this case, the taxpayer has a no. If the answer was yes, there may be another filing requirement. Okay, so these are the usual questions that are asked in a tax organizer, guys. Okay, so now we're gonna go to ProConnect to update the return based on these foreign account information. Okay, so now it will be a bit of a challenge for me, very used to using ProConnect. So Schedule B. Can you guys, anyone who has done Schedule B already? Janelle, can you lead where should I go? Sometimes when I am lost, I would go here, right? So this is my like table of contents. Where do I go? I think here.
Kindly go to income for the Schedule B. Schedule B, Schedule D. I'm sorry, I didn't hear it again.
All right,
Schedule D.
here. Oh, sorry, no. So income, and then where do I go, Janelle?
Under dispositions for Schedule D.
Are we talking about carryovers now, or no, not this
It's
one.
Schedule D. I'm sorry. I misheard it, maybe.
All right. I'm looking for Schedule B.
Schedule B. It's interest income. There.
All right, let's go here.
I'm sorry, I misheard it. Schedule.
That's okay. Not here. Not here either. Give me 1 second, guys. It is part of Schedule B, but let me say, who knows? Can you guys type it in the chat? Not foreign withholdings. This is just a declaration. Okay. I promise I have a point to make. I'm just looking for that here.
This.
Give me 1 second. Let me just try. Don't do this, okay? I'll just put some amount here, and then so I can refresh the form. Because if you do have an interest, the form will generate a Schedule B, but not this form. Why? Okay, hold on. Name of payer, let's say Bank of America. Okay, it's not generating Schedule B. Why? Right. bear with me, guys, okay? This happens because, um, for one, I'm not used to using ProConnect. And in different software, they have different,
The ultra tabs, not this.
all right. Chris G, can you guys unmute Chris G? How to fill
Try
out.
general information on the upper right, Chris, under interest income. Once you select interest income, try the there's a tab right named general information. You will see the schedule B.
Okay, hold on. I'm showing you guys. If you're also lost, use Chat GPT, okay? So how to fill out financial for a 1040 return. It should give you a step by step. So input return, go to income, interest income, click details. All right, let's see. Let's try to follow this. So it says in open interest income, click details. So let's go interest income. I'm there already, and then click on details. There. So it should be down at the bottom. There you go. So foreign account and foreign tax credit. So there's an interest or authority in foreign or authority over foreign account. This will be a yes for the spouse. And then name of country. So this is where you will identify which country that deposit is based. So she's based in the Philippines. Let's see if this refreshes our. There. So it's now generating Schedule B. This is what I was looking for. So see here, Part 3, Foreign Accounts and Trust. So 7A was the question, at any time during 2025, did you have a financial interest in or signature authority over a financial account, such as a bank account, securities account, or brokerage account located in a foreign country? So the answer here is yes. Okay, that was based in the tax organizer. And then follow-up question, if yes, are you required to file FinCEN or Form 114? Report on foreign bank and financial accounts. So that's the name for FBAR. FBAR stands for Foreign Bank and Financial Accounts. To report that financial interest or signature authority. So the answer is yes. Why yes? Because again, her answer to the tax organizer is 12,500. If it's anything more than 10,000, that triggers an FBAR filing requirement. And then we identify that that deposit was in the Philippines. Now, this question number 8 is actually defaulted to no, right? It's defaulted to no. Most software do that, but that also happens to be the case for our taxpayer, right? So on the question about gifts, her answer was a no, right? This is that portion here. So did you receive a large gift from a foreign person? The answer was no. So it happens that that was also the default answer. But if this was a yes, let's see where that would be. Okay. So another case before we proceed there, if there was a foreign account, but it did not breach the 10,000 limit, you can answer yes here and then no on the next question. Okay. So if there's a no filing requirement, you can just leave this as blank. So this is how ProConnect works. So you can just leave that as blank. See? So that would be a yes for the first question about a foreign interest, but there is no filing requirement. Okay? But in her case, again, for this taxpayer, there is a filing requirement because her deposit at one point reached 12,500. Okay? So if you want to answer yes to that, just specify a country where the deposit is held. Okay? So if you do that, automatically that answer to the second question will be yes with the country specified. Okay? Copy so far? Let's see, where do we answer this question number 8? Uh, so again, guys, if you, the beauty of US tax is everything is searchable in the internet. Okay, so if you are lost, look it up, right? That's how we did earlier, right? So let's see, in ProConnect, where do I find the option to say yes to question number 8 on the Schedule B of the 1040 return? So this is Schedule B, right? That we are filling out. So I'm just letting ChatGPT know that I'm looking for a way to change my answer to question number 8. So if you're using other software, just tell ChatGPT what tax software you're using, okay? So during the tax year for grantor, okay. So if you need to answer yes to question 8, this is what you do. You go to input return, miscellaneous form, foreign reporting, 1114 or 8938. So let's try to do that. ChatGPT is not perfect, but let's see if it gave us the correct answer this time. So input return. So if we want to go back from our table of contents, this is okay. And then it says, what did it say? Miscellaneous forms. Do we have miscellaneous forms? Here. But miscellaneous form, there's only, okay, here. Miscellaneous form, and then what did it say again after that? Foreign reporting. This is not 8805. All right, here, foreign reporting, right? Okay, what answer was that? Total number of foreign accounts. I don't think this is the right one. Because this is actually the F bar. This foreign bank account. This is the F bar filing. This is not the answer to question number 8. If the taxpayer has a reportable foreign trust transaction, complete the applicable form 3520 input. Once the 3520 information is entered, ProConnect will mark question 8 as yes. Okay, so this is how it works for ProConnect. Let's see if we can find form 3520 in ProConnect. So let's just view all input screens. Let's find 3520. No, There's how do I go? So if you can't find the input, you can tell me which tax are you looking for 2025. Yeah, so I am working on 2025. I can't find form 3520 in the input menu. So does not include Form 3520 as an integrated input form from 1040. Form 3520 is a separately filed international return. So regarding Schedule B8, question 8, during 2025, did you receive a distribution form? In ProConnect, there is no direct input field to answer yes to question 8 that I'm aware of. So I have two questions. Are you trying to check yes because the taxpayer actually has a foreign trust? If yes, Form 3520 generally must be prepared and filed separately from the 1040. Are you simply trying to force the Schedule B checkbox to yes in ProConnect? If that's the latter, I suspect you'll need to use an override. Can you tell me exactly why question 8 should be yes? All right. This is where it gets tricky, okay? Let's see if we can override this. No, doesn't work. You guys can figure this out. Have you guys figured this out before? Anyone in the chat? But anyway, it's not part of the exercise. I just wanted to show you how to change this to yes. In some software, it's very easy to do this in ProConnect, Pro Series, for example. But ProConnect could be tricky, okay? But I'm just letting you know that there is a way, there should be a way to change this to yes in case that there is a Form 3520 filing requirement, although it's not very common, okay? It is not very common for the taxpayer to answer yes to this question, but the 7A and 7B, this I've encountered this a lot, okay? FBAR filing requirement could be common, especially if you guys are connected to taxpayers with spouses that are based in the Philippines. Okay, so let's park that for now. Maybe someone will discover this and we can demonstrate just so we can continue. Last activity for today is to load the prior year data and document. So we know that there is a 2300 carryover, right, for the capital loss. Okay, so that's what we need to input. Where is my... Okay, just give me 1 second. Okay, here. All right, so now we'll have to input the carryover loss of 2300. So let's see, carry overs. So it also gets tricky with ProConnect. Let's see. Let's use our friend. How to input carryover for capital loss from 2024 to 2025 in ProConnect. So in this case, we're not doing option 1 because 2024 we did not prepare that return. Okay, so our case is option 2, wherein we're preparing the return from scratch. So go to input return, go to income, and then dispositions. Okay, so I think this is what Jen was referring to earlier. So income, and then go to disposition, schedule D. And then from here, you see carryover, miscellaneous info here. Click on that. And then, do we have information whether that carryover loss was long-term or short-term? Let's see. Let's see. Who guys looked at the 2024 tax return? Do you know if that was a long-term or short-term? So short-term, those are losses that for which the underlying transactions were held for less than 12 months. Okay, long-term, if the securities involved in the sale where securities that were held for more than 12 months. Okay, for carryover, so that does not really matter. But if we have that information, then we will use that information. Let's open 2024 again. Does it show? Let's go to Schedule D. Where is Schedule D? Here. Scheduled. God. Anyone in the chat, in the interest of time, do you guys know or we have seen the return? Was that a short term, a long term? A long term. Okay, everybody says long term. All right, then we'll put that 2300 over here. Okay. So long term capital carryover. And that should be same for AMT or alternative minimum tax. Now let's refresh our form, okay? We're going to make sure that 2300 is carried over to our tax form. So see here, line number 7A, capital gain or loss, attach Schedule D if required. That's 2300. Okay, so that's carried forward from previous year. And then we now have an attachment for Schedule D here. So Schedule D, it says here the 2300. Okay, so notice what happens when you start progressing through your return, you will see schedules coming in. Okay, so now Schedule B, you know that this is related to that foreign account, and then it also is related to interest and dividends, right? And then Schedule D would be related to capital gains and losses. Okay, now this will, I mean, starting today, these forms will be, or these schedules will no longer be foreign to you because these are most common schedule in a basic return. Okay, all the more on a more complex return. You will see a lot of Schedule B and a lot of Schedule D. Okay, because Americans, they are invested in stocks, most of them. Okay, in the Philippines, it's not very common for us to be invested in the Philippine stock market, right? Do you agree? But in the US, it's very common for them to be invested in stocks, mutual funds, bonds, because they tend to manage their own retirement accounts. All right, so let's go back to our presentation. We were able to do all 5. Was everyone able to do it with me? Creating the client or creating the client and enter Marcus information, Sophia's information, all the 3 dependents. We're able to tackle Schedule B, although we're not successful in the question 8, but that's okay. Doesn't matter. It's not part of our presentation anyway. And load the prior year data. That's the only prior year data that matter is the carryover. Okay. Right? We're okay so far. So this is the information that we entered for Marcus. This is for the spouse. And then this is for the these are for the dependents. And then these were for the Schedule B, Part 3. Yes to the foreign accounts. Country is Philippines. The spouse is the account holder. And then prior year data. Actually, we have done the carryover, but we have not done the refunds of 407 for the state, and we also have how much was that? 500 something for federal. We'll cover that tomorrow. Okay. So let's see how many more slides we have left. All right. So let's see if we have managed to do the checklist. So Marcus, his information, Sophia, dependents, the Schedule B, the carryover, the filing status. We already did foreign married filing jointly, right? So we did not put that blank because in ProConnect there's also no way that we can put the filing status as blank. It defaults to single. All right. So all these mistake, I think we have avoided that, and then we'll cover diagnostics in the coming days. So after every entry, ask yourself which rule you just applied. The software is fast and confident, and it will produce a wrong return without complaining. You are the control, not the software. So notice the software will just take whatever numbers you input. Okay, so that's why we have to be careful, and we have to have attention to detail, because while the software will give us some flags, but not everything. Okay. So 6 things to take away from tonight. The software is a recording tool, not a deciding tool. Name and save the client properly. So we have our file name, Alvarez Marquez. Types of dates of birth, do not paste them. So wrong date of birth, quietly cost. So that's why US, again, for US dates, they follow month, date, and year. That really matters, okay? Because you may interchange the date and the month. All right, diagnostic, we'll cover that in the coming days. And all right, so our action item, finish and save our file. In ProConnect though, it's auto-save because it's a cloud-based technology. I don't think there is a need for you to save it. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I think, yeah, it auto-saves. Okay, it auto-saves because it's like Google Drive that uses cloud-based technology. Most tax software actually are cloud-based. So as soon as you input the information, it gets saved into the database. All right, so review the session 2 and 3 on the portal. So we already have 3 sessions. One was the orientation, second was yesterday, and today's the third. The quiz, we will be making that available shortly into the Google Classroom, probably in the next 30 minutes, okay? You can take it as soon as it becomes available because you will be notified in your email. Otherwise, you can do it tomorrow, okay? All right, one thing from the software that did not behave as you expected, we open Thursday with them. So if you have questions from today, because obviously we don't have time, it's 9:03, bring those questions tomorrow, okay? Before we start, we'll cover some of your questions. Maybe not everything, but we'll do our best. If you have unanswered questions, another way you can answer that is through AI. Okay, try to find the answers in AI. AI may have the answer for you already, or drop those questions in the GC. Some may be able to answer those for you. Okay. All right, so tomorrow we'll cover filing status as well as residency. So as promised, the 5 filing statuses, we'll cover those in more detail tomorrow. All right. All right, we don't have time for questions. We're a little over time. But yeah, that's it for today, guys. One word. Can you put that in the chat? How was today's experience? You guys able to do all 5 entries? All right, tax software demystified. I love that. All right. Very informative. Right? So now it starts to sink in, right? Because the theory and the application are being merged. Okay, and for those who have touched the tax software for the first time, congratulations. All right. So I guess that's all for today. Let's see who is our prayer lead or closing prayer for today. All right, JD. Let's have JD for the closing prayer. Go ahead, JD.
Let's put ourselves in the presence of God. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. No. Dear Lord God, thank you for guiding us throughout this meeting. Thank you for the knowledge, ideas, and cooperation we shared today. We are grateful for the opportunity to learn, work together, and support one another. As we end this meeting, we ask for your continued guidance and wisdom in everything we do. Help us apply what we have learned with honesty, patience, and dedication. Bless every person here with strength, good health, and peace of mind. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right. Thank you guys for today. I hope that was worth your while. See you guys again tomorrow and enjoy the rest of your night. Bye for now.